Not that Taika Waititi isn't a good director. In fact, it's not true at all. He's creative enough to make movies for people of all ages that can make you cry while harshly criticizing social issues that no other director would dare to use as satire, like in Jojo Rabbit. But when the eccentric genius is given free rein over a well-known franchise that has a tendency to stray from its source and there are no budget restrictions, the result is bad for everyone involved. First, let's talk about Taika Waititi's blasphemous mockery. That was Thor 4, when Thor, Zeus, Valkyrie, and Jane Foster are all in the same movie, and Christian Bale's acting is almost too good to be true, and it's still not enough to save a $250 million film? That says something about how good Thor Love and Thunder is. Even though Taika Waititi has a lot of talent and a mysterious bad guy with superpowers to work with, he still fails to impress his audience. He didn't seem to care that the movie didn't do well, and he tried to get fans excited by making claims that were more outrageous than the last. This hurt Thor 4's already low ratings even more. After Marvel Studios kept quiet about the issue for a while, new reports say that the director will not be back to direct Thor 5, if there is one in the future. In a recently released clip, Thor Love and Thunder gives the audience another display of love, and it's making them cry. Not because it's good, obviously, but because the awful scene was so close to being in the final movie. Social media is filled with cries of frustration, and Twitter isn't known for being kind. Thor Ragnarok, which was once called one of the best MCU movies, is now the director's worst enemy because Love and Thunder is always compared to how well Thor Ragnarok did. Hopefully, when Phase 4 is over, Marvel will be able to get out of its temporary rut and start making good projects that don't make people want to claw their eyes out. Next, how Taika Waititi changed Thor in the MCU. The director of visual development at Marvel Studios talks about the crazy ideas that Thor Love and Thunder director Taika Waititi had. Andy Park, who is the director of visual development at Marvel Studios, talked to Sci-Fi about working with Taika Waititi on Thor Love and Thunder and the director's extreme ideas. Park thinks it's great that Waititi always wants to try new things, but he admits that he wasn't sure about some of his ideas. Park says that even when Waititi's more crazy ideas weren't used, they usually led to interesting places that weren't as crazy. Even though not everyone liked Waititi's extreme choices in Thor Love and Thunder, the director's work in the MCU had a big impact on how Hemsworth's Thor was portrayed. Thor, the first movie to feature the Norse god, was very self-important and didn't have much of a sense of humor compared to other MCU characters, like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Thor: The Dark World, Thor's second movie, did not do well with critics or fans, which suggests that the character could use some changes. Thor Ragnarok, which was written and directed by Taika Waititi, gave us a new version of Thor that was funnier and less serious. As Park says, Waititi's vision for both the character of Thor and the atmosphere of a Thor movie is full of decisions that seem out there, bright colors, and strange humor. Some fans didn't like Waititi's unconventional style as much in Thor Love and Thunder as they did in Thor Ragnarok, but the director did a good job of making the character and the world he lives in feel new and different from the rest of the MCU. Thor 4 proves Waititi is a bad fit for Star Wars. Reactions to Thor Love and Thunder have been mixed, which suggests that Taika Waititi may not be the right person to direct another franchise movie, even though he is going to direct an untitled Star Wars movie in the near future. But the director may be just what Lucasfilm needs after a rough time for Star Wars, when Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, got bad reviews, and Obi-Wan Kenobi got mixed reviews. Even though the Natalie Portman storyline is funny, it shows that Waititi has no interest in the long history of the Star Wars movies. Padme Amidala, played by Portman, is an essential part of the Star Wars prequel trilogy. She is the mother of Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa, and she is also a key member of the Galactic Republic, who fights to stop Emperor Palpatine from taking over until he attacks the Jedi in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Also, Padme is Anakin Skywalker's wife, and he worries a lot about her safety, which is a big part of why he turns into Darth Vader and sets the events of the original trilogy in motion. Padme is one of the most important characters that George Lucas ever made for the Star Wars saga. Considering how important Padme is to the story, Taika Waititi's forgetting that Natalie Portman played her in Thor doesn't give me much hope that he loves Star Wars lore. The prequel trilogy is not a secret piece of Star Wars lore that only diehard fans will know about. These 3 movies are the start of the Skywalker saga, and Portman played the main character in all of them. So it's pretty scary that a well-known director like Taika Waititi is set to direct the next Star Wars movie due out in late 2023, even though he forgot one of the main characters was played by the same actor who played Jane Foster, the mighty Thor, in his movie. Next up, Love and Thunder proves legacy characters don't matter to Waititi. The way Thor Odin's son is played by Chris Hemsworth in Love and Thunder might be the most controversial thing about the movie. Thor's emotional arc in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame saw him hit his lowest point when the God of Thunder failed to kill Thanos. It wasn't clear what Thor would be like in Love and Thunder after that, but Waititi made it so that he didn't take much of anything seriously. This hurt his character a lot and showed that Waititi doesn't care much about how his characters have been portrayed in the past. Instead, he writes characters that fit into the tone of his story. The same is true of Natalie Portman's Jane Foster, who acts nothing like the woman Thor met in Thor and Thor: The Dark World. Even though Portman's mighty Thor is dying of cancer, she keeps making jokes, which shows that Waititi didn't care about keeping Jane's serious personality from the first 2 movies. Ragnarok also makes Hulk and Loki seem a little bit sillier, but Kevin Feige may have been more involved in making sure they stayed the same to keep their important character arcs in the Infinity Saga on track. Some people worry, and they're right to, that Waititi might make famous characters like Obi-Wan Kenobi or Darth Vader funny to fit his style, but not much has been said about the plot of his Star Wars movie, so it's not clear if any legacy characters will be in it. Finally, a bonus. Christian Bale's kids made sure he was cast in Thor: Love and Thunder. Christian Bale says that his kids were the ones who made sure he was in Thor: Love and Thunder. Bale talked to Screen Rant about how he got involved in the MCU movie Thor: Love and Thunder. The interview was exclusive to Screen Rant. The actor says he was mostly interested because of the people he would be working with, and Waititi's pitch was very good. But there was a time when he almost didn't take the MCU role because he might have had a scheduling conflict, but his kids made sure he did. Read the whole story about Bale below. For me, it was Taika. My family and I like Thor Ragnarok. We all like Jojo Rabbit, and I had already worked with Natalie and wanted to work with Tessa and Chris. It really comes down to that. I only said great. I love the story and how Taika wrote about the bad guy. Let's go do this. There could have been some scheduling problems. I told my relatives I don't think it'll work out, and they said, no, you make it work out. Dad, you're going to do this. They told me what to do, and I did it right away. Bale has been in a lot of superhero movies. He played Bruce Wayne, Batman, and Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, which was the first time he played the well-known DC character before the MCU. In fact, his second time as the Caped Crusader was in the critically acclaimed movie The Dark Knight, which came out in 2008. That same year, Robert Downey Jr. and Jon Favreau's Iron Man was the first movie in the Marvel Studios franchise. This is his first foray into the Marvel world, though, and it's interesting that based on this story, his kids seem to be more interested in it than he is. In any case, it seems like it was worth it to join the MCU and figure out that possible scheduling conflict. Everyone, especially the fans, comes out ahead in the end. Unfortunately, guys, that's all we've got time for today. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Till next time, cheers!